Let's get rid of all that. Welcome let's do this. Welcome everybody. I don't know if this is any better. Welcome everybody to the studio. Let me adjust that just a little bit. I'm glad you all can make it back in the new year. I hope you all have started off your new year really well. I'm glad to be back. A little apprehensive. It feels like I've been gone for about a year. But let's get started with what we're doing, and we're going to paint, hit the wrong button. We're going to paint this guy here, this little fox sleeping on a little bit of snow there. I hope we can do him justice. He's really cute, I have to say. And just like with all my other ones, I'm just going to jump right in. I'm going to try to tell you what I'm doing as I'm going on, and we'll talk about a few things as we get going. But before that, welcome Dana, welcome Michelle, Sudike, Liza, Kenya, welcome everybody. I'm so glad to see you all in. I hope you're ready for a fun year of some watercolor painting. I'm going to grab my golden maple quill mop brush, still enjoying these, and I'm going to mix up some very light color up here. I'm looking at the background here. It's kind of a little bit of a purplish tint to it. I'm going to use a little bit of Cobalt Blue, and I'm going to use a little bit of alizarin crimson. Alizarin crimson can get so strong, but I'm gonna tame it with some of this Cobalt Blue, and we're just gonna jump in to painting. And I'm gonna try to keep a wet edge here as best I can. Like I said, we'll figure this out as we go along. I looked at this image, and this is a really nice image. I really would like to paint this. And so I got out my paper and I drew this up, and I started looking at it, and then I went, you know what? I don't do well with with fur or hair. this is really going to be kind of interesting, but we'll figure it out together. We'll talk through a few things. I think we'll be able to get through this without too many issues and end up with a really nice painting in the end. I do want to say it's only been 2 weeks, but it feels like it's been 2 years since I've been on here. It feels like I've been away for forever. And that's leading to, I'll be quite honest with you, leading to a little anxiety for doing this, but you guys have always been so nice and so welcoming and so generous with your time and your comments and everything. I'm sure that everything will go fine. Oh, I should say, before we get too far into this, I guess I should say that this paper, so I rearranged my studio. I thought my desk was taking up a little too much room. I rearranged my studio and rotated everything a little bit. And in doing so, I found some old paper that I kind of had setting around. And so I'm using, actually I have it here. I'll show you. I'm using Strathmore watercolor paper. This is 500 series paper, and I believe this is 100% cotton paper. It comes in this nice little pack. I had bought this years and years ago to work on a project, and I think I never worked on that project. So I'm going to use it here, and we'll see how it goes. Let's see. Liza is here. Natalie is here. Sherry is here. Hello, all. And Kenya, I can't keep up with the hellos. I get it. And Michelle says, the painting on Twitch came out great the other day. And I'm trying to remember which one I did. Oh, I'm a little embarrassed. I don't know which painting I did on Twitch. I think I did a falcon or something like that, didn't I? Is it true that sizing deteriorates over time? It will deteriorate over time, but it's not that fast. It doesn't deteriorate like over 2 years or something like that. Honestly, I used it all. I had some watercolor paper from roughly, right, I'm going to say this roughly, the 1970s. I guess I don't know the specific date, but it was from the 70s. And I only know that because I had to look at the design on the packaging to find out what the style was. It was such an odd thing for me to see. I hadn't seen that packaging before. And I learned that they used that in the 70s, and by the early 80s, they were done with that packaging. So I knew it was from, sometime in the 70s or early 80s anyways. And it had started to lose some of its sizing, but it wasn't that bad. It was still typical Strathmore paper. So you could still use it, just like most other paper. I'm trying to figure out my blue here for my snow drift. And I think this painting is going to be an exercise in subtlety, right? I think I'm going to have to be very careful to be very subtle about painting this picture because, the snow is so delicate. The fox, while he has color on him, I'll put the bigger picture up there so you can see it a little bit better. While he's got some color on him, it's very slight coloring, and so we're going to have to be so careful about how we layer these colors on here that they don't overtake one thing or another. Michelle says, I did an eagle. Okay, cool. I did do an eagle. That's right. I've got 3 or 4 more This is the part where I stall because I've got a wet surface here. Got 3 or 4 more here that I've been working on. We haven't been together for 2 weeks, but that doesn't mean that I haven't been doing any painting. So I've been working on this guy, and quite honestly, I'm not really happy with the way he's turning out. But I got that guy. I got a dog that belongs to a friend of mine. Maybe a quarter of the way done here. That's going to turn out really nice. I'm working with black, and black is hard for me, but I'm working on some shading with just that black in there. This is the town of Harmony. This is the glass blowing shop here and their store here, and this is a little town about 15 miles north of me. Population, well, it says on the sign is population 11. And then I've been working on this guy, and so I'm very excited about this guy. I think he's starting to turn out really good. And basically what I'm saying is I haven't stuck with any one painting for quite a while. I'm just kind of going with the flow and seeing what we can get done. And while I'm going with the flow, I'm going to not go with the flow here real quickly because I'm starting to get a little bloom. And while I do like that snow has some interesting edges to it, I don't necessarily want that bloom to make its way into my painting. So I'm just going to go over ever so slightly with that. Let's see, let's reach back a little ways while we're waiting for this to dry. I hope that everybody had a happy holiday season. Let's see, Christmas was 2 weeks ago, New Year's was a week ago. Is that right? Something, I'm trying to remember. Everything has gone by so quickly. I hope everybody got to see the ball drop and had a good time on New Year's Eve. I stayed up until about 10 o'clock and then went, okay, I've seen this ball drop before. I'm heading in for the night. Let's see, what else? I did post for everybody who's returning. I've posted my challenge for this month in my Discord channel. And for everybody who is new here, I've got a Discord channel in which I post a monthly challenge, and everybody can take a crack at painting that. You can post it on Discord, or you can not. If you don't want everybody else to see it, that's okay. But it's fun to take an image or a reference and paint it, and then see how everybody else has done it. So this month for me, it is the challenge is penguin. Oh my lord! The challenge is penguin, and I've posted a penguin picture that I will be painting. Oh my lord, that's a lot of peas. In my Discord channel. So if you want to paint a penguin picture, or you want to paint that penguin picture, please feel free to do that. Eliza says, it was a good New Year's, but I am ready for spring. I'm with you on that. Natalie flew home from Denver on New Year's Eve. Wow. That's brave. I don't know. Traveling on a holiday, I think it's tough. Susie says, hi, Strathmore uses mostly vegetable sizing. It lasts longer than sizing from animal products. There you go. Interesting. And Kenya says, fun. Let's see. And everybody says, Happy New Year. I'm hoping to do even more painting this year than last year. I actually feel very recharged right now and ready to go. So I think we're going to have a really good run from now through spring. I'm pumped and ready to paint. And yeah, I'm just waiting for this to dry just a touch more before I do anything with it. I don't want my fox color red, yellow ochre. I'm going to put a layer of yellow ochre on it first, kind of. I don't want that to run into any of my snow color here, so I'm being a little deliberate about that. Let's see. Liza, you're looking forward to seeing what I do this year? I kind of am too. We're going to see how it goes. And let's see, what else can we talk about? If for those of you not from California, which is almost everybody, I am sure, if you haven't seen it, there are some pretty major fires in California. They are south of me, but if praying is something you do, or send good wishes or good intentions, I'm going to ask that everybody, give some goodwill, at least, to the people affected by those fires. I watched some coverage of it today, and boy, it is intense. We are in the midst of our windy season for sure. We get, well, down there they call them the Santa Ana winds. Up here where I'm at, a few hundred miles north of there, we call them the Santa Lucia winds, but they're the same thing. Winds that blow from the desert towards the ocean, and they could be pretty crazy this time of year, and it's fueling a lot of fires down there. Let's see. Susie says, Liza, just what it's made from. I don't know the details. Arches uses animal size and it turns into a blotter paper. Interesting. Good to know. Thank you. How long can you keep arches before blotting starts? And Liza says your nephew is in LA. Yeah, it is absolutely crazy there right now. I'm glad my wife and I used to live there. I'm so happy that we don't at the moment for obvious reasons. Natalie says the wind was crazy in Phoenix last night and today too. Oof. It's just that time of year. It happens, right? It's crazy, but I just want to keep those people, in mind and send them some good vibrations. It would be terrible. That would be terrible to have to go through. The closest I came to that, my parents were moving out of LA. And they were moving to Utah, and they had sold their house in LA already. It was out of their hands. They had signed the paperwork. They had a couple of days to go and get all of their belongings out of there. And in fact, it's not far from where the fires are at right now, but they had some fires in that area, and they lived just on the edge of a canyon. Or lived, I guess I should say, just on the edge of a canyon. And the fire was on the other side of the canyon, I'm going to say about 200 yards away from where they were busily, as fast as they could move, trying to get everything that they still had in that house out of that house, so they didn't lose any of their belongings, right? At that point in time, they were not quite as worried about the house itself. And every now and again, I would get a text, and my mother would say, "Here's what it looks like right now." And I kept sending text back, going, "I'm not really concerned with what it looks like. Shouldn't you be more concerned with packing and getting out of there rather than shooting pictures and sending them to me?" Although they were pretty extraordinary pictures, being that close. Okay, I've got so my fox color here. I might as well tell you what I'm doing while I'm doing it. My fox color is a bit of yellow ochre and a bit of alizarin crimson, and I mix those together. And now, fox have this kind of gray quality to some of their fur, so I'm putting a little bit of that on, and that's just straight Paynes Gray, albeit very, very light. And now if I can get some, I got a piece of paper. There you go. You can see what I'm doing. I got a piece of paper towel right there. So I just want to dry this brush as much as possible so that as I move this paint around, it doesn't drop any water and give me a back run. Let's see. Let's see. Liza says, and others are suffering from snow and ice. Tough start to the year. Yeah, it is a tough start to the year. I wasn't even thinking about the snow and ice because that's not happening next to me. But thank you, Liza, for bringing that up. Yes, there's some extremes on each side of the country for sure. Sherry says, I was watching the wildfires in L.A., and we are praying for L.A. Yeah, it is, ouch, it is absolutely crazy. Liza, some say you can paint on watercolor ground before you paint if the sizing is bad or your paper. I haven't tried watercolor ground. That's one of those interesting things that I've always wanted to do. I haven't tried it. Susie, I do have ground. Just opened it the other day to check if it's still good. Cool, there you go. Okay, let's see. So I'm going to tell you my general plan on this. I've got this nice light color of everything on this animal right now. And my next task on this is to shape out his leg here, give some roundness to his body here, and give some shape to his bit of tail over here. I'm going to do all of this. Well, I'm going to do most of this. I'm not going to give the roundness over here, but I'm going to do most of this with negative painting on his face here and on his back over here. So we may come in and add some extra color to what's already here, but we're going to define the shape with some negative painting. Liza says, anyone ever used watercolor medium that gives texture? I found a bottle I forgot I bought. I don't remember it, even if I tried. I don't, but it's cool stuff. Okay, let's see. I've got this background color that I don't want here, so I'm going to dab that up a little bit. And I've got down here, I've got this mixture of alizarin crimson and yellow ochre. I want to make sure I've got a bit of that. And I'm going to look to see, because I know that this mix is a little strong right now, where I have my darkest values with that. And to me, it looks like right here. So I'm going to come in here, and I said I was going to do a little bit of negative painting, and I'm going to try just to define a few hairs by doing this. Let's see, this can come over that way. This goes totally behind his ear. Something like this. Oh man, come on. Let's see. Oh, Winsor & Newton texture medium. Never used it. Yes, Natalie, that's what I thought, is there are a number of the grounds, the watercolor grounds, that kind of provide texture. Some are smoother-ish, but some do definitely, I thought anyways, provide a texture to what you are painting. Okay, I'm not worried about anything going on up at the top here, on the top of his back. We're going to come up, we're going to come back, and we're going to, excuse me, we're going to, we're we're going to paint in fur around the edges here, so I'm not really overly concerned with that, but I do want to get the inside here and start defining where his leg is at. So that's what I'm doing, and some color here on the body of this guy. Now, I admitted to you before that I'm a bit anxious about this painting because I haven't done one in quite a while. So if I'm rushing ahead or I seem a little out of sorts, somebody just throw it into chat and let me know. That I might need to reset just a little bit. But I'm gonna continue on as though I know what I'm doing, and we'll see how far I can take that. Let's see. You guys are talking watercolor ground in here. I didn't see what the final answer was about it. All right, I like where this color started on the back of this guy. I got a little bit of modeling. I like a little bit of mottled colors in here, and I don't want to mess with that too much. I want some of that modeling to stay there. Let's see. Natalie, I use it to make refrigerator magnets to paint for friends. That's interesting. Use it to paint refrigerator magnets. That actually sounds fun. Okay, I need to make sure I'm defining where this guy's snout is. I'm just trying to take a quick look here and maybe drop in a few bits of fur here and there. I think as a start, this will get me going. You know what? I'm going to go right around this whole eye on this side. I didn't think this was going to be a small, simple project, as simple as it kind of looked, but I wasn't sure how long this whole fox would take. So I'm looking at it now the way I kind of want to do it. Might take us 2 hours to do this, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out along the way. Liza says, I'm very interested to see how you do the fur. So am I. So am I. I don't do fur all that much. So I'm intensely curious about it. You guys are continuing to talk about watercolor ground, which is great. Like I said, I don't have any experience with watercolor ground, so I'm not gonna jump in, but I am gonna look up and read about it every now and again. Let's see. He's got his hindquarters that come over here. I'm gonna drop in some lines. If they're perfect, great. They won't be, and so I'm not going to worry too much about it. I'm just using this as a basis for what we got going on here. Let's see, this goes right on down to his nose. I don't want to get this color too dark back there. And this goes right up through here. Okay. Maybe a little bit more color in here. And you'll be able to see some of that. Can you guys see that? I think you can see that. I tried to pull my camera in, you know, pretty much as close as I thought I could. I hope you guys can see it. This is not the biggest sheet of paper. What is this? This is an 8x10 sheet of paper. So I realize it's not the biggest sheet of paper. We've painted on much larger sheets before. But I think we can make this one work. I'm certain we can make this one work. I'm going to put a little line right down his snout there. You can almost see him looking at you with that one eye already. Almost. He's going to be here pretty soon. He's going to start looking really good. I'm going to define parts of his ears here. Okay, parts of his ears are going to be a little easier because we don't have quite, we have color, but we don't have quite the hair to do here. Right, that color comes across like this a little bit. And maybe just a little bit here. I might pull that down a little bit. All right, I like this. I like where this is going. All right, I totally like where this is going. Okay. So next thing for me, his head is wet here. This is still a little damp. I'm going to move on to his tail over here, which has actually quite a bit more gray in it. So I'm going to do almost some full Paynes Gray here. All right. And I'm going to leave enough so that when I put a little bit of color in with that, it's going to should hopefully pull that right out along with it. I think that's going to look good. Like I said, I'm trying not to worry about anything other than defining this shape. And that, I think, defines the outside of his tail. That defines the inside of his tail. We need to marry these two somehow in the middle. Somehow. It'll get there. It'll get there. Might be a little dark, but let's see how it looks. And I'm not necessarily, I'm painting in a couple of these hairs and whatnot, fur, not hair, fur. But I'm not too worried about it because we're going to come back and we're going to do a fur treatment here at the end, much like I do with birds. I think I can pull that same trick off with fur, but we're going to find out if I can or not. All right. There he is. That's kind of our first go-around with him right now. Now, he's a little bit wet. So, what I really want to do is come back into my blue here real quickly. I think I was using Cobalt Blue. Ooh, that's a lot of blue. And I'm going to define a little area here where these weeds are sticking out of the ground. And I want to add just a little bit of darkness to that area. Something, boy, I don't even think you can see that on camera. Let me just darken that up ever so slightly more, and then I'll move it so you can see it. But I want to give a little spot. There you go, you can see that. I want to give a little spot where that grass is going to come popping out. Right, I just want you to be able to see a little area where that grass is coming out of the ground. I think this is going to work out. Right? And this is kind of more of a negative painting technique too here. Right? I'm allowing that little bit of snow in the front to remain mostly white-ish. Maybe there's a little indentation right there. That's what that's going to end up being. Yeah, that snow is in, and that's where the grass is coming out. So I just want to get that on there. And since we have a moment, because everything else is a little damp, then we can do that. Okay, and let's see. I've got this other. I drew an extra line in here. Right, I've got him in the snow. This way, there's a little snow bank right in front of him. Comes down like this. Now I should say, oh, you guys are talking away and I'm not even paying attention. Every time I look up and you guys have said a whole bunch of stuff and I'm just jabbering away talking. I feel like a bad host. Oh my God. What is junk journalism? I hosted a junk journalism meetup at work today. Very encouraged. Interesting. Sherry says, I did some fox drawings last year, but didn't paint any of them. Sherry, you and I can work together. I've done one fox painting this year. In fact, I'm not even quite done with the fox painting this year, but I didn't draw any last year. So you draw them and I'll paint them. How's that? Natalie says there are a number of YouTube artists who offer gorgeous printables. Junk journalism is kind of like scrapbooking, but you use random junk paper or mail or whatever. Interesting. Natalie, it's nice that your coworker is interested in team building when people have common interest. That's true. The fur, Natalie says, the fur is starting to look good. It's going to get there. I promise. We just need to wait for, his face is a little bit dry. So I think we can move ahead with that. I'm actually going to move. It's a small area, and I don't want to get too much moisture in any one area. So I'm going to drop down an extra brush size. I'm going to add a little bit of color here, and this is going to extend up a little bit. I know you're all asking, why didn't you just do this on the first layer? And the answer is, I wasn't sure how this was going to look on the first layer. So I want to make sure that I do this in some kind of a go slow fashion so that I don't get too much in any one place, so that if I mess it up a little bit, it's easier to fix. Like this spot right here, I want to make sure this stays light right around his eye. I want that to be highlighted. I want there to be a good thing, a good light area right around his eye. Let's see, this is going to come up here a little bit. Something like this. And this is actually kind of something I actually like to do. There's some things in watercolor I really like to do, and some things I don't necessarily like to do, but you kind of have to do. But this is kind of a fun thing that I have learned to really like. And it's just value judgment, right? It's kind of a fun, interesting thing to be able to look at that reference photo and then look at what you've got and go, okay, my values are good here. They're kind of off there. I need to darken it here. I need maybe to pull a little paint off there. And I'm not even talking color. at the moment. I'm just talking value, right? What's the intensity of the color that you put on there? Do we need more color here? Do I need less color there? Eliza says, I'm the real chat yacker. Wow, Sherry used to make Hudson Bay coats and use foxtails around the hood. But you can't do that anymore. Now you have to use faux fox. I grew up in a, well, this is not really a surprise for anybody. Different time, right, than certainly kids nowadays. And my family on both sides were a family of hunters and fishermen and outdoorsmen and whatnot. I tell my kids what I had growing up, and they're like, what? That's crazy. I grew up with a bearskin rug on my floor. And for anybody who's ever had a bearskin rug, for me, it's not the best. It was the bear that we had its head still, it was a head. And I think I kicked out all of his teeth a number of times by walking into it in the dark. Ooh, look at his eye, right? I think his eye is starting to look good. I'm going to leave this be, and this is going to come down in intensity a little bit as it dries. It's going to lighten. Lots of people still hunt. That's true. I just don't think it's quite as big or quite as popular as it used to be. I think a lot of people nowadays just have other hobbies and interests. I don't hunt anymore, but I fish now, and I can't even get my kids to do that with me. But that's okay. I get other friends to do it with me. Okay, well, I'm liking his eye here. Let's see. Liza says, my husband doesn't hunt, and I would have married him if he did. Or you wouldn't have married him if he did. Holy cow. I hope he knows that. Yeah, I'm not trying to be an advocate for or against. It's just one of those things that people do or did. We had fox coats and whatnot that we played with as kids. I don't actually remember people wearing them, but my great aunt had foxtail boas. I think it was called a boa. I think it was boa. Anyway, different time. I tell my kids all the time, oh, your family, cool. I'm much better off with people who hunt and fish. If you're eating whatever it is you hunt or fish, much better with it. Okay, cool. We got a little bit here on his hind quarters. I want to extend some of this color out a little bit. And lighter as we get to the end out here, almost pure yellow ochre. And then I really want to dial this back and make a nice gentle graded wash here. Just taking the edge of that paint and then tapping my brush off, drying my brush with it. And now that I look at it, we gotta get a little bit of that color out a little further. I think that looks better. And we'll get that color down around the bottom here in a second. I need to let at least this area dry before we come in here. But his haunches back here are starting to look good. Your mom used to have to pluck feathers and stuff. Not your jam. I remember growing up having to pluck chickens' feathers. I was like, holy cow, this is not what I want to do. I think I made a promise to all my chickens now that they can live as long as they want. They don't have to worry about that. As long as they're, well, I was going to say, as long as they're laying and giving me eggs, they've got a home. But that's not really true. My chickens have a home as long as they want it. I think they know it. They're on to me. They know I like them too much. In fact, I have an update on my chickens. I'm now, so Dahlia is still laying eggs. Still, she hasn't stopped all winter. I say all winter. We're in January, right? She hasn't stopped yet. How about that? She hasn't stopped yet. And she hasn't molted yet, obviously, because she is still laying. And Blueberry, who did molt, they're sisters. They're from the same hatch group, hatchling, same brood. I don't know. They're sisters. And Blueberry did molt, and Blueberry's back to laying eggs already this year. And what else is going on with my chickens? Betty is laying eggs currently, and Pumpkin is back to being the annoying chicken that she is. I say that lovingly. I love Pumpkin. She might be my favorite. Don't tell the others that. What she might be. I really like Pumpkin. But I think she's a little too smart for her own good. She's got two things a little too figured out. While I'm doing this, I'm just putting a little color in this fox's ears. We're going to put a little black in here, just on the side of this red. While I'm doing this, I would ask everybody to look down below, here, there, wherever it is, and hit that like button for me if you would, if you like this. All the likes that I get help me with the YouTube algorithm, will help promote this channel and the things that I do, and I would greatly appreciate if you do that. Even if you're not willing to do that, I still appreciate the fact that you have all come to view my channel. I love these Wednesdays. I don't want these Wednesdays to stop. And we're getting a good crowd in here right now. So I just want to appreciate that and acknowledge that. Okay. So I'm gonna let the little foxy guy here dry for just a minute, and I'm going to do my best to paint in a few of these weeds that are back here growing up. In a little bit of this area, and I might have just a bit of a small brush for this, but we're gonna make it work. I'm hoping that when you see this and all of these grasses are bent over that way, that it looks like this is a wind-blown kind of an area. And this guy's doing everything he can to keep warm. Let's see. Eliza says, I'm worried about Tracy Perkins. She hasn't been around. I haven't seen Tracy in a while. And I haven't seen her post anything in a while. Liza, that's a good question. I wonder how Tracy is doing. I'm hoping she's doing fine. Maybe I'll see if I can't check in on Tracy here in the coming weeks. Or the coming days. Coming weeks. The coming days. Later this week. I'm sure she would appreciate somebody looking in on her. None of us have seen or heard from her in a while, I don't think. Let me see. I guess I'm gonna keep this brush, and I'm gonna turn this over because I think it's time to. Whoa, that's way too much. Paynes Gray. I think it's time to continue. That is way too much Paynes Gray. Continue our go around this guy's tail. This is a good time to do this. And I just dumped way too much color on here, but we're going to spread this out and we're going to make this work. A little bit more of this Paynes Gray. This is a gray. Maybe just a touch of the red in here. Again, that's just alizarin crimson to give it just a little bit of color. Yeah, I miss Tracy being here. The problem, not that this is a problem for anybody, it's just the curiosity about Tracy being here is, I believe, she's always had to join our stream while she's been on or at work. So I think sometimes at break or sometimes on lunch. I think she's had to be here then. I don't know, quite honestly, exactly what she does for work, but I do recall her saying that she's at work when she's here. And I would hate that. I'd hate to hear she's not doing her work just to watch my channel. I think that could lead to some bad consequences. I don't want to see that. Tracy posted a book haul a month ago, right? Right. Hopefully she's just enjoying the holidays. I did see the book haul. That's correct. As I understand it anyways. Yeah, let's hope that she is just enjoying the holidays and a little extra time resting and recuperating. But yeah, I think a check-in, I think she would not think that that's an intrusive thing and would appreciate that. So I'm going to do that. Okay, this guy's starting to come together. He's getting there, right? We've got some depth to him. I'm actually going to do a little bit stronger color on a couple of these. This is burnt umber. A little strong. I want this color to be a little stronger because I want it to be a little more forward in the picture. But I don't need it to be a super dark color because I don't want it to take away from our main guy here, our fox. I think maybe a little something there would help. I think when I'm done with this, what I'm going to do, what's really going to help us is I'm going to come back and I'm going to put one or two of these at the end right in front of his tail. And that's really going to push him back a bit further and give us a little bit more interest in this. Let's see. So what I've got to do now, or what I'm thinking about that I should be doing now, is I should start to determine where that hair in his ears are. Right? Let's do this. look at the hair in his ears, right? It fluffs over, and there's a little bit of black in the back behind that fluff. Is the back of his ears is dark, and I need to figure a way to get that into his ears. So what I'm gonna do, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wet part of this ear, and let's hope I didn't wet too much. I'm going to get a little bit of this Paynes Gray. I'm going to run it down this way. I wet it. I'll just tell you what I'm going to do. I wet this so that, maybe I need even a smaller brush than this. Or maybe you just need a light touch so that everything has a little bit of a soft edge to it. I don't really want a hard edge here. A nice soft edge, I think, is really going to help. Well, that's kind of what I was hoping for. Maybe not quite, but kind of what I was hoping for. Let's see if we can do the same thing on this other side. Right, a little bit of gray here. Let that come into his ear. Something like that. And I'm going to take a little bit off. I don't know. All right, I know what we're going to do. Okay, cool. We got it. It's all good. Liza says, you love the fluff. Which fluff? This. You know what? I'm going to... Boy, that's still wet. Still wet. I'm going to continue to work up here. I'm going to give him a little bit more color up here. And I'm going to try to stay with the colors that are here. Maybe we'll just add a touch of gray to it. That little bit really helped define that leg right there. I mean, now there's a lot of leg there all of a sudden. All right, let's see, what's next? His eye. His eye's not too different of a color, but let's see if we can't make it somewhat different. Let's give it a little Pyrrol Red in here. A little Pyrrol Red and yellow ochre. What does that get us? Ear fluff. You love the ear fluff. Ear fluff. You know, I'm getting a little older. I noticed I've got a little extra ear fluff here too that seems to be growing a little bit. I don't know if I'm such a big fan of ear fluff. I guess ear fluff is inevitable, right? A little ear fluff here and there. Oh no, I always nail the eyes. That means now that I really have to do this right? Luckily, as I'm looking at this, wow, that is much more red than I wanted. Luckily, there's a lot of black surrounding this eye. So if I don't get it exactly right, I don't think it's the biggest deal breaker in the world. And it's so small, I don't think I can totally get it wrong, which is really nice. But I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at that, and while I'm not trying to duplicate that picture, you know, I do use it as a guide or a template, and I think it's coming along pretty nice. I have to say, I'm pleasantly surprised with it. Michael, go get a nose ear trimmer at TJ Maxx. You hear the word about 3 times a week. I have a trimmer. I just don't want to use it. It's okay. I don't mind getting older. It's totally fine. I talked to my wife 2 days ago or 3 days ago, and I came out of the bathroom and I was like, when did my hair turn so gray? She's like, it's been going for years. I went, how do I not know that? How is it that I didn't even recognize my hair was that gray? You know, my hair is obviously a little longer, and I like it a little longer. I'm totally fine with it being long. I very much like my long hair. I don't really have any interest in trimming it or cutting it, which is fine. But I have taken to pulling it straight back and putting it in a ponytail. And when I pull it back, I can see how much gray is underneath. And it was like, holy cow. Oh, no, I don't need to know anybody about shaving anybody's back. Okay, Liza, that's an overshare. I don't need to know about that. Natalie says, I'm more gray than my mother. Oh, man, I'm sorry, Natalie. You're in good company. I'm more gray than my mother, but my mother dyes her hair, so that's kind of a cheat. I just look at my hair and I go, that's not what I really remember it being. Like, your husband asks once a month what color his hair is. I got some news for you. Your hair is gray. That's oh. You know, I don't take it too seriously. Aging is part of life, right? I did a lot in my youth, and I had a lot of fun and did a lot of things. I'm hoping I can grow old pretty gracefully and not let it bother me much. But there are times when I look in the mirror and I go, "What has happened?" That's fine. I was at the grocery store just before Christmas, and I must have been buying some alcohol because for whatever reason I showed my ID, and the woman who was running the cashier looked at it and looked at me, and then looked at my picture and looked at me. And I went, yeah, it's me. That's me many years ago and a lot less gray. And I didn't have a gray beard, obviously, in that picture. The gray beard is new. And I went, yeah, I bet you think I should be buying some Just for Men or something like that. And bless her heart, she was like, yeah, you know what? I think the gray beard looks kind of nice. So I was like, thank you. I was like, thank you. I appreciate you. If I could tip you as a cashier at the grocery store for saying something like that, I totally would. But it's okay. Let's see. Natalie says, my husband accuses me of cutting the dark hair on his head only. Yeah. Yeah. I get it. Oh, growing older. I have to grow old, but I don't have to grow up. That's the way I look at it. I do have to grow older, but I don't have to grow up. So I try to have just as much fun in mostly the same ways now that I did 20 years ago. And that's all good. It's all good. All right. How are we looking? I like our little darker bit here. I like that it looks a little darker. In fact, if I could get some of this dark out there a little bit, I would go with it. Yes, I definitely like that better. He's got more to him. He looks more substantial. I put on that more color. He's now, I don't know, he looks more substantial there somehow. Let's see, my husband has better hair than I do. It's thicker and it has great wave to it. Oh, I'm sorry. That was Natalie not grown up to like coffee. Let's see, Sherry, I imagine you as a deep brunette. Sherry, your hair is white. Holy cow. I think I'm not going to be too far behind you. I'm definitely entering salt and pepper, or salt and something, salt and sand, something like that. I don't know. Whatever that is called, but I'm definitely getting there. All right, cool. I'm just going to soften some of this edge going around here, just to make sure I don't have a hard edge where we have some of this hair. I don't think that would do anybody any good. Oh, I do. I like him. I think he's really getting there. Okay, I think what I have to do at this point is do some of his ear, and this is going to be a little bothersome to me. He has more texture now down here. He's definitely got more texture down here. So what I think I need to do now is what I really hate to do. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna not do that yet. I'm gonna tell you what I was gonna do, but I'm not gonna do that quite yet. I want to give him some more color here on the crown of his head. I'm going to pull this down from his ears, here and here, and kind of right on down to here. Okay, cool. Just trying to look to see where I think these colors need to go and need to be blended out a little bit. I want to kind of connect some of this color. If we have a little bit more color in his face here, then we can, oh yeah, you can see it right now. Right? I got a little bit more color in his face here. And that means that little white spot over his eye just kind of popped out right away, right? So this white over his eye here popped out, and now that pushes that, even though it's, you know, a red color, I'm going to put a little gray in there, but that pushes that back that little bit. And that, to me, is very exciting. I like that very much. I think that is going to go a long way towards defining this guy's face. I like it. I like it. I get a little color that comes down here. Whoa, please don't put my hand in there. One of the perils of turning your page quite a lot is that from time to time, like I just did, your finger ends up getting into your paints. I'm usually pretty vigilant to try to not do that. I didn't say I don't do it. I just vigilant to try to not do it. There, how does that look? I actually think that looks pretty good and comes right down his snout this way. It's going to help define that. So the thing that we don't have here on his snout, you can't really see, is we don't have his little nose, which is going to be right there. But you can see there's a light spot here and there's a light spot there. And oh, I'm very excited about that. Eliza says, Michael, you're off to an excellent start this year. Thank you. Sure, I'm trying really hard to get there. I stopped coloring years ago, and when it grew, I loved the color. Now I feel so free. There you go. All right. His Uncle Bud used to wash his gray hair with horsetail bleach to keep it from yellowing. Interesting. Horsetail bleach. I never knew there was such thing. Natalie says, anybody get any paint supplies for Christmas? I got 3 new notebooks and a beautiful Bauer bird palette. I didn't get any art supplies. I gave some art supplies for Christmas, but I didn't get any art supplies for Christmas. But my youngest was using a watercolor notebook from the dollar store and was using it and turning in classwork in high school with it. And I'm like, what are you doing? I was like, well, you know, I got to turn in my assignments, and I have this. I'm just going to use it. And I'm like, no. That's not going to work. That doesn't fly. That might fly at somebody else's house. That's not going to fly at my house. So Finn got some nice watercolor journals to do some work for art class. I think they ended up being very nice journals. I think they're going to work out. I'm just going to continue to work around here and add a layer here and add a layer there. Here a layer, there a layer, anywhere a layer. And we can see that this fox's face is starting to get some serious dimensionality, right? Really starting to see that there's quite a bit to this fox. Now, I was asked earlier today during dinner what I was painting today, and I said I couldn't help myself. I said a fox, not in socks, not on a house, not with a mouse, not. I kind of broke into Dr. Seuss. Not in a boat, not on a boat, not with a goat. But I think I mixed up my Seuss and got a little bit of green eggs and ham along with fox and socks, but I think that's okay. All right. I really like this side over here. I like parts of what we got going on over here. I just think the color might be a little bright. I'm not going to worry too much about it because we do have some final editing that we're going to need to do. Oh, sure, you got 3 new silver black velvet brushes and a set of travel brushes for plein air. That's outstanding. That is outstanding. The Bowerbird palette are pretty. I received some miscellaneous tubes of paint in Fabriano paper. Ooh. And more Terry Harrison books on landscape painting. Man, you guys got better stuff than me. You guys got better stuff than me. Oh, way better stuff. All right, let's see. I'm going to get a little bit of this black, and I'm going to get a little bit of, of sepia. I want a dark brown. I want, close to black, but I don't want black. I want this to be warmer than black allows this to be. So I'm going to mix in some sepia here. And before I get too far into this, I'm gonna just do a little bit. Ooh, that's a lot. A little bit of this ear. And this is going to come right up and around. A little bit of that ear and a little bit of this ear. Is that dry? That's dry enough. You know what? I think I'm going to paint down this way. And this goes just around. Kind of like that. Kind of like that. And I'm glad I didn't make this too dark. I'm happy to come and put a second little bit on there. And I'm going to use the same color right around this guy's eye. And Liza, this will be the determining factor on how I do with his eye here. Oh, I'm trying to be very precise. You get kind of one shot on that eye. You always, Liza, you always marvel at my precision. I always feel like I don't have much of any precision. I kind of try to muddle through as best I can. I think I have a good understanding of where I can mess up at. So I don't really want a hard line on this. So that if I do something and it's not quite right, then I've messed up in the good location where it can be messed up. There's his eye, and we're going to put a highlight on there. So that's going to bring that somewhat to life. Oh, I still got his nose to do here, don't I? Or part of his nose, anyways. How's this go? Oh, there you go. You can see it. There you go. Okay. So I'm actually pretty happy with kind of where we're at. I don't know. I'm not too dissatisfied with these ears at the moment. But I do want to put on some additional hair around the outside of this guy. To do that, he does need to be pretty dry, so I do need to wait just a little bit. While we're waiting, I can mix up some additional color. Right, this is alizarin crimson. Kenya says, Kenya got landscaping book too. It's a Hazel Sloan book. Interesting. I don't know who Hazel Sloan is. I hear they're good brushes. Sherry, I hear Sherry. Let me go back now. Sherry got brushes. Oh, Sherry got silver black velvet brushes. Do I have any of those over here to show? I don't. I'll show you in a second. Here, watch this. Maybe I will. I do have I have a few brushes but I don't. Okay, I got one more place to look. I don't. Wow, that's interesting. I'm not sure where my silver black velvet brushes are. Silver black velvet brushes, say that 3 times fast, are actually very nice brushes. A number of years ago, 3, 4, 5 years ago, when they seemed to be all the rage for everything, everybody had to get those brushes. I got a number of them, and I wanted to not like them because everybody else liked them, if that makes any sense. You know, I don't want to like them just because everybody likes them. My problem with them was I couldn't find a reason not to like them. They always worked pretty well. Give us a studio tour. My studio is a mess at the moment, but I will. I don't know what. Oh, I just messed up his hair. I don't know what camera I could turn to show you, because this one up here is pretty set. It's in place. I mean, it'll move very slightly. This one up here only points down, and this one over here, I could move. It will articulate pretty much anywhere, but it's got a weird parameter set on it, so I don't know that is going to work. Someday I'll invite you all on a studio tour. Someday. So I'm trying to make a whole bunch of little marks here. Little marks. And then I'm just going to brush them out on the bottom side. And what I'm doing is not making any hair, any individual hair that you can see, but what it's doing, or what it should be doing, is giving you that outside indication of some hair. Right? And I'm trying to match the color here somewhat. Come on, that's got too much water. Mostly I'm just doing what I can to rough up the edge here. I don't need to, and I don't want to put on any individual hairs. I think painting individual hairs gets to be a lot. But if I can give you the visual representation of that there are some hairs on this guy, look, all of a sudden there's just a few lines around there, and it looks like there's hair on this guy. It really does. Somehow it has turned into having hair on this fox. I'm going to do the same thing here. Let's see. All right, we need maybe a little bit. And of course, I've already got some on this side. Such that if I just wipe part of this away, it's going to give the illusion of having a lot of hair on this fox. And the illusion oftentimes is just enough. Right? The viewer doesn't need necessarily to know much more than the illusion of hair. Come on, Paynes Gray. Sometimes I grab that Paynes Gray and doggone it, it's a lot of Paynes Gray. And sometimes I grab that Paynes Gray and it's just not nearly enough. Which is distinctly different from when I grab the Sepia, which is always too much. Always too much. Sepia always comes out with a lot. All right, cool. And look at that. Quick as a whip. If these get a little spiky, we can just add some longer ones in here. Right? Maybe they look too much like teeth or something. We can add a couple of longer ones in here, some shorter ones, some fatter ones, some thinner ones. Hair is hair. After all, it comes in all shapes and sizes, believe me, I know. Paynes Gray is so invaluable. I hate that it is, but it is. I would love to always just make my own gray, but alas, I can't do it. I can't do it. I always enjoy the hint and suggestions. It draws me most into any paintings. Yes. Can I use my phone to give you a studio tour? I could. I don't know if I can right now. I don't know how to hook into it. I've got. All right. I'll describe it for you. I've got 3 ukuleles hanging on the wall over here. I got 4 on the wall over here. I got cables running everywhere for my lights. I've got a beam here. I've got a chest of drawers over here. And a big mess everywhere else. That's it. I'm looking at this guy. Oh, I need to get some of this grass. I need to move this grass back that way a little bit. But I got to tell you, I like where this is at. If you were to stand, you know, if I take this and I hold it, this is great video, okay? If I hold it out, where can you see it? I can't. If I hold this out at arm's length in front of me, I don't see... I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna retry my ears here. I don't see that we have too many issues with this. Okay, I like that better. I like that. Let me just very lightly brush a little bit. I'm gonna do that same thing on this side. It's not gonna look exactly like hair per se, but I think everybody's going to get the idea of what it is. Oh, I like that. I shouldn't have given up hope so soon. Look, look, look. Look, now there's hair in his ear. Look. Oh, you can just make it out. There's actual hair in there. A hair-ish shapes. We want to see it. I'll do it someday. I promise you guys, I'll give you a studio tour. I will. But I am going to clean. I won't do it. I won't do it now. I will. I do need to do some cleaning before I do that. I don't even let my family into my studio. Let's see. I need to give a little spot on his eye here. Just a little bit of something there. There's really not a lot of highlights to do on this. And I think, barring a big twig here or something. All right, let's get this a little darker in here. if I can just get something over top of this, push this whole thing back a little bit. And that's probably, I mean, I don't need much, right? I just need to show that that is in front of that little tail. Actually, this is good. There are a couple of these on that reference photo that kind of come up and go back that way too. Let's put one or two of those on. Some darker ones here. All right, cool. So that should just move that in front that little bit, push him back ever so slightly, and I think that's about it for this one. I'm going to sign him over here. And I haven't done it in a while. I'm going to do, you know, things I like about this and things I don't like about this. So, thing I do like about this, give me something I can point with. I guess I'll point with this one. This one's a pretty long brush. I love this gray color over here. I love this. I think this looks fantastic. I like that it got a little bit granular over there. It looks fur-ish, right? I think if I were to do this again, I might try to work in some additional granular paint, hoping that it falls out a little bit more, because I think this half of the fox over there looks fantastic. I like that we've got this brow ridge right here on this guy. That helps to set off this little darker area underneath there and this little bit from his snout, right? It makes that into a little pocket that sits back there. I actually like the hair in his ears now. Use this one at the Ned. Use this one at the Ned. At the end, I'm assuming that's a typo. I didn't know what to do with this light-ish color back here. It's kind of light, and it kind of just, it's back there. I don't hate it. I don't like it. It's just what it is. I think I got a little red here, and I was trying not to go too dark at the end. At the end of the year and revisit it. Okay, cool. I like that. And Kenya says Daniel Smith Moonglow works well. It's neutral, it's very granular, and I happen to have Daniel Smith Moonglow. That's a fantastic idea. Let's see. As we were going through this, I did have some concerns. You all know I like to push colors a little bit. I didn't want to make the hair here too dark. And I didn't want to make this eye too dark. I'm glad I didn't. I think this could have gone a little darker. I still could go back and do that. But I think the hair on the edge here and the hair up here is a good match for the darkness of this. The whole thing is quite light. I don't really think there's anything I don't like about this. I think it's a cute little painting, and I am happy that we got to start off the year with one that turned out pretty nicely. Natalie says the background is perfect. It's just enough back there. There's a little variation in color, but it looks like it's cold. If you saw this guy sitting on a snowdrift, that's kind of something you would see behind him. It is some variation in color and a lot of blue and a lot of maybe some purples, depending upon what the light is. When did my chair become squeaky? About a week ago. I got a different chair. My old chair was a chair from a restaurant bar, and it was built like it, and it was weird. So now I have something that's more of a traditional office chair, and I can raise it up and I can lower it and I can move it and I can roll around with it a little bit. I didn't realize it was going to squeak. I didn't even notice it, but I will see if I can't grease it or oil it a little bit so it doesn't do it. Okay, with that, I would like to say thank you all for joining me at this first Wednesday Watercolors in 2025. I thoroughly enjoyed having all of you here. I hope you enjoyed watching me paint this. I hope you delve into maybe painting a fox of your own or doing something with some gentle colors. WD-40. I will get some WD-40. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your evening. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. I hope you are able to join me again back here next Wednesday in the studio when we're going to be painting something else. And don't forget, the challenge this month is Penguin. I'll be doing that in 2 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks. Whatever, if next weekend can't be the last Wednesday, but I will be doing Penguin in 2 weeks. Until next week, thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your evening. I'll talk to you guys next week. Bye bye.